Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Red Rising. So, Red Rising is the latest installment from Stonemaier Games. It plays from 1 to 6 players, and it's, according to the box, lasts for about 45 minutes to an hour. And I say according to the box, of course, I say that really regularly, that especially first or second play of the game is going to take you substantially longer than that. Obviously, if you have more players, it will take longer again. I really like that this game plays up to 6 players. I think that's one of the main things that Stonemaier have going for them, that a very large majority of their games play up to the 6-player count. They don't just kind of peter out at 4 or 5. There are a couple of games, don't misunderstand me, that have petered out at 4 or 5. But the early incarnations of games was always to build games that play to the higher player count. So games such as Scythe or Viticulture both play up to the 6 or 7 player count, but they have had a couple of titles like Tapestry and Pendulum, which only play up to the 5. But that's not a problem at all. So straight away, I'm immediately taken to this game as a better game for my purposes, simply because I tend to play with larger groups. It's quite nice to play with a small group, but I tend to play with slightly larger groups, which means that I'm kind of pushed onto that end of my collection. For those who aren't aware, I rate or categorize my collection, so everything kind of that way down is 4-player, then this stuff in the middle is 5, there's a little bit of 5-player over here, then everything on that end plays 6 or above. It's just a really quick way for me to go, okay, I've got this many people in the room, and grab the correct titles that are going to play without having to think too hard about it. Red Rising is based on a book, or a book series, should I say. It's not a book series that I'm very aware of. I don't read anyway, so I guess I'll just wait till they make a movie out of it. The whole idea of the game is actually extraordinarily simple. You have a hand of 5 cards. You're going to play one of those cards into one of 4 areas. Then you pick up a card from one of the other 3 areas where you didn't play the card down to, and that will gain you a bonus. You obviously gain the bonus of the card, or the action of the card when you play it down. But that's in essence the game. On the bottom of each card is extra scoring. So there's a scoring that you're going to get from the top left-hand corner. And then there's a potential scoring if you have other cards or other things in your hand. And that's really where the game is finding a way to manipulate the hand that you have to show the best possible score. By the time you get to the end, you will notice that in my Gamesplay, I've got a card that gives a bonus if every card in my hand is over 20 points as its base value. So there's extra points on top of that, but as its base value. And that player is consistently going after these high scoring cards and then worrying about, oh, can I get the bonus? Whereas other players are going after the bonus as well as all the stuff that they're doing. And there's a lot of manipulation there. I haven't been through the whole deck, or I don't think I have. I may have been, but I don't think I have. There's a whole bunch of different colors, and those different colors speak into different things. A lot of them can be deleted from the game entirely, depending on how they're played. There's a heck of a lot of stuff going on with each card. And that's actually really the crux of this game, is every card feels like slightly different, or there might be some very vague similarities between them. There may even be some extra times of that card or that specific thing happening, but it might have a different name, or there might there's so much different stuff going into this one that's really hard to kind of pin, saying, I need this card. So in order to get this card, there's a really thick deck. It might be at the bottom of that deck, which means I'm probably not going to get it, because you're probably only going to get through about half of that deck in a playthrough. And that's if you're working really hard to actually move through the game, because it is possible to play this game without actually going into the deck. It becomes really very evident really early on that, I'm just seeing the same cards over and over and over and over. And that's the point where you need to go into the deck to start digging and seeing what you can get out. But at the beginning, you're just going to play a card down and pick a card up, play a card down, pick a card up, and continually doing that, you'll eventually find that either there's not too many cards out there, or that the cards out there are just repeats over the cards that I've already seen or been seeing for the last half hour. I need to probably do something different to bring other cards into the mix. And some of these cards that actually ask for a specific card to be paired with, you need to actively go after finding them in the deck and hoping that someone else hasn't kind of just hung on to that card looking for the card that you've got. Because if you can get those pairs of cards, they'll actually give some fairly substantial bonus points. And this is really the game, is where are those bonus points coming from? There's a whole bunch of different things, but the essence of the game is those 4 different spaces that you can play a card down onto and pick cards up from give you 4 different things. 3 of those different things gain you points. So moving along a track, or putting influence up on that top right hand space, or just taking some, I think they call it helium, some red little pieces in. Each of the red pieces is worth 3 points. Great. Each of the spots along that track gives you more points. Great. The spot on the top right hand corner, the influence stuff, it's a really interesting scoring mechanism on there, because whoever has the most cubes gets 4 points per cube they have up there. Whoever has the second most cubes gets 2 points per cube they have up there. And whoever has the third or lower number of cubes up there just gets 1 point per cube, which means that if I have 10 cubes up there, I'm going to get 40 points out of that. If the next player has 9 cubes up there, they're only getting 18 points. That's a huge difference. Also, in the same breath, if I have 10 cubes up there, I'll get the 40, and the next person down, if they only have 2 cubes, they're getting 4 points for those 2 cubes. I think that spending your time to get a lot of cubes up there, you kind of need to look at that number and at least be equal, if not above the numbers of everyone else, to make it worthwhile going up there. Because otherwise there's not a whole bunch of point in chasing after those points. But there are some really huge points, as you've just discovered, by going up there. Pushing along the fleet track, really getting towards the top, there's some really substantial points. But anyone can have any of the point values on that. It's not push and pull with who has the most. And that's a really, it's a funky way of playing, but it's a nice way of playing in the same breath. The thinking about that, do I want to go after that? Do I not want to go after that? All of these things are really kind of thinky, and suddenly pushes you in a direction. And some of the cards will actually give you extra benefit for having the most of something, or you'll get extra points for those cubes up in the top side there. I think on the Gamesplay, you'll see that one of the players manages to get 2 cards that give bonuses for that space. And so he's getting, I think it's another 5 points per cube he's got up there. Plus, if he can have the most, an extra 4 for it. So each cube up there, assuming he has the most, is worth 9 points. It just makes sense to go after that as the scoring thing. There's so darn much going on with this game. As with all the other Stonemaier games, it is a pretty game. There's not a whole bunch on the table, because in essence it's a small board. You've got 10 cubes and a fleet marker, and then there's cards, a whole bunch of cards, but cards. And the little helium tokens and a box for those helium tokens to be in. That's kind of the game. That's everything that exists in the box. It's not a whole bunch of stuff. But the stuff that is there looks kind of nice. The thing that holds the tray that holds the helium is in that little fox. It's added the Stonemaier flavor to the game. And that's really it. It kind of feels like a Stonemaier game. It feels like a similar design quirk, or whatever you want to call it, as Pendulum. It's kind of got these same ideas in the design of the game. And I think that they're probably, with all of these kind of futuristic games, they've locked into a look that it just feels like Stonemaier. I may just know their games too well, because I do get into a habit of, whenever a Stonemaier comes out, I will get it. Now, with this one, with Pendulum, I think with Tapestry as well, there's been a bit of a kickback of the gamers of not wanting to necessarily get them early out. My understanding is that the shops need to order in a certain amount, so they'll have a lot in stock so that they can then sell them out, which is a great idea. But if they get a lot in stock and they don't sell, suddenly they've got to reduce the price and gamers get a cheaper game. That's great, but they don't get anywhere near the sales that they previously would have had. I wonder if this is a mistake of Stonemaier. They very few mistakes, by the way. I do really appreciate everything they do, but it's just a thought of this might be in error of how to get the game, like we saw with Terraforming Mars, that when that came in and got sold and it took a while for them to come in. So there's this constant, I need this game, I need this game. Same thing happened with Wingspan. I need this game, I need this game. I fear that Stonemaier is assuming that every game they put out is going to be on that Wingspan vibe of I need the game, I need the game, I need the game. And while every game they put out is really good and I really appreciate every one of them, I don't think that any of them are of that level of just open to people coming in to play the game. Because, I mean, Wingspan brought in a lot of players who didn't play games before, so not actual gamers. And suddenly there's a necessity to have this game. I fear that Stonemaier is looking for that necessity on every game that isn't actually there. Anyway, I will leave that discussion to you, and I just to say that I actually think this game and all of the other games are so much better than a lot of people are saying. I fear that they're saying because of this need to get a whole bunch in and then it's going to have to go on discount, etc, etc. So anyway, I'll leave it there. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.